Stop waiting for the charisma gene to kick in. The truth? That magnetic presence you admire in others isn't a gift. It's a skill you can master starting right now. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the air shift because someone else just entered? You know the type. They aren't necessarily the loudest person there, and they might not even be the best looking, but they have this thing, this invisible pull that makes people lean in, lower their phones, and naturally gravitate toward them. We usually call it or the spark, but more often than not, we label it as a birthright. We look at them and think, man, they were just born lucky. They've got the charisma gene, and I clearly missed the boat. But here's the truth that's going to change how you look at every social interaction for the rest of your life. The natural born star is a myth. We love the idea of natural talent because it gives us a free pass to stay exactly where we are. If charisma is something you're born with, like eye color or height, then you don't have to feel bad about not having it. You can just shrug and say, that's just not me. But when you look at the research, and even when you look at the history of the most magnetic people in the world, you start to see the cracks in that theory. Charisma isn't a magical aura gifted by the gods at birth. It is a set of specific behaviors that, when practiced enough, become a seamless part of who you are. Think about it this way. Someone can be absolutely captivating at a dinner party on Friday night, engaging, warm, and powerful, and then be totally off or even boring at a brunch on Sunday morning. If charisma were a permanent genetic trait, it wouldn't fluctuate like a radio signal. The reality is that charisma is a state, not a trait. It's the result of how you're managing your energy, your body language, and your mental presence in that exact moment. When we see someone who seems effortlessly magnetic, we're actually seeing the final performance of a skill they've likely been refining for years, whether they realized it or not. Maybe they grew up in a household where they had to negotiate for attention, or maybe they've spent a lot of time observing how people react to different social cues. Regardless of how they started, they learned that certain ways of standing, listening, and speaking produce a specific result in others. This is actually incredible news for the rest of us. It means that the magnetic aura you've always wanted isn't behind a locked door. You don't need a rewrite of your DNA. You just need a change in your toolkit. If you've ever felt invisible or awkward, it's not because you're broken or boring. It's just that you haven't been shown the mechanics of how that energy is built. It starts with moving away from the I am mindset. I am shy. I am awkward. I am not charismatic. And moving into the I do mindset. Charisma is something you do. It's the way you align your internal thoughts with your external expressions. It's the decision to stay present when the world is trying to distract you. It's the balance of being strong enough to lead and warm enough to care. Once you stop looking at charisma as a mysterious superpower and start seeing it as a craft, like playing an instrument or learning a language, the room starts to open up for you. You realize that the star isn't someone special. They're just someone who mastered the moves. And now it's your turn to learn the choreography. We like to think that communication is all about the words we choose, the clever anecdotes, the perfect vocabulary, or the witty punchlines. But have you ever talked to someone who was saying all the right things, yet every fiber of your being was screaming that something was off? Maybe they were complimenting you, but their smile didn't reach their eyes, or they were acting confident, but their foot was tapping a frantic, nervous rhythm under the table. You felt a vibe that didn't match the script. That's because your body is a broadcast tower, and it's constantly sending out signals that people pick up on a subconscious level long before your brain even processes their sentence. This is the invisible language, the secret frequency that dictates your magnetic aura. In the transcript we looked at, there's a fascinating idea. Your body emits frequencies and vibrations that are tangible to others. Now, you don't have to be a mystic to understand this. Think of it as social intuition. When you're stressed, anxious, or trapped in survival mode, your body undergoes physical changes you can't fully hide. Your muscles tighten, your breathing shallows, and your face performs micro-expressions. Tiny, split-second flickers of emotion that give away your true state. If you're feeling judged or insecure, you might unconsciously cross your arms, turtle your head into your shoulders, or look away. Even if you're speaking like a CEO, your body is shouting, "I'm uncomfortable." And here's the kicker. You can't trick energy. People sense that disruption. They might not be able to name it, but they'll walk away from a conversation with you feeling slightly drained or uneasy. To have a magnetic presence, you have to align what's happening inside with what's showing on the outside. So, how do you fix a disrupted frequency? It starts with a concept called de-dramatizing. Most of the time, our body language turns cold because we're stuck in our own heads, worrying about how we're being perceived. We make our anxiety a huge, dramatic deal. But when you realize that almost everyone else in the room is carrying that same quiet hum of nervousness, the drama fades. You relax. And the moment you relax, your body language opens up. Your shoulders drop, your movements become fluid, and your vibrations switch from a frantic buzz to a steady, warm glow. Another powerful tool in this invisible language is the fake it till you make it approach, but not in a dishonest way. It's more like acting yourself into a new state. If you're recording a video or walking into a high-stakes meeting and you feel the skill-less imposter syndrome creeping in, stop. Imagine the version of you that already has the answers. How would that version of you sit? How would they move their hands? By adopting the physical posture of a charismatic person, you actually send a signal back to your brain saying, hey, we're safe and we're in control. Your brain then releases the chemicals to match that posture, and suddenly your words and your aura are finally in sync. When your body language aligns with your message, you become readable and trustworthy. People stop feeling that glitch in the matrix and start feeling drawn to your clarity. You're no longer a set of conflicting signals, you're a single powerful broadcast of confidence. And that, more than any clever word, is what makes you magnetic. Since your body language is now sending the right signals, it's time to back that up with real, internal change. If you're ready to stop faking it and start living it, check out my ebook, 30 Days to a Better You. It's a step-by-step guide designed to help you align your habits with the magnetic person you're becoming. Grab your copy at the link in the description, and let's make those internal shifts permanent. Now, speaking of staying present, in a world that is louder than ever, the rarest and most attractive thing you can give someone isn't your opinion, your advice, or even your humor. It's your undivided attention. We live in the era of the continuous partial attention state. You've seen it. You're at dinner with a friend, and their eyes keep flickering to their phone screen every time it lights up. You're talking to a colleague, and you can practically see their brain processing their own to-do list while you speak. When someone gives you only a fraction of their mind, you feel small. You feel like a background character in their story. But then there are the magnets. Those people who, when they talk to you, make you feel like you are the only person in a room of 1,000. This is the art of the deep listen, and it is the secret fuel of charisma. Charismatic people aren't magnetic because they are great talkers. They are magnetic because they are extraordinary listeners. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you. Not just waited for their turn to speak, but actually absorbed your words, reacted to your tone, and asked a follow-up question that showed they really got it. It felt incredible, didn't it? It felt like a spotlight was shining on you. That's the effect you want to create for others. The transcript mentions a brilliant shift in perspective. Stop trying to be interesting and start being interested. We spend so much energy rehearsing our own stories, trying to sound smart or cool because we think that's how we win people over. But the truth is, people rarely care about the intricate details of your life as much as they care about their own. This isn't because people are selfish, it's just human nature. We are all the protagonists of our own movies. When you walk into a conversation and show a genuine burning curiosity about someone else's movie, you become their favorite person to talk to. Practicing the deep listen means fighting back against the monologue trap. We've all been stuck in a conversation that felt more like a hostage situation, where the other person just talked at us for 20 minutes without breathing. It feels arrogant, even if they don't mean it that way. To be magnetic, you have to break the monopoly. Ask about their dog, their weekend, or why they're passionate about a specific project. And when they answer, stay there. Don't let your mind wander to what you're going to say next. Stay in the moment. This is where the concept of staying present becomes your greatest social weapon. Our society magnifies the distraction problem. We have phones buzzing in our pockets and notifications screaming for our eyes. Every time you check your phone while someone is talking, you are effectively telling them, this plastic rectangle is more important than you. It's a charisma killer. Being present means leaning in, maintaining comfortable eye contact, and offering what Dale Carnegie famously suggested, genuine praise. Not empty flattery, but recognizing the value in what the other person is saying. When you are fully present, you catch the small details that others miss. You notice the passion in their voice when they mention a hobby, and you acknowledge it. That validation creates a bond that feels like a magnetic aura. You aren't just a person standing there, you are a source of warmth and attention. And in a distracted world, that makes you absolutely irresistible. Imagine a king who sits on a high throne, draped in gold, issuing commands with a voice like thunder. He has immense power. You respect him. Maybe you even fear him, but you don't necessarily want to grab a coffee with him. Now, imagine a kind neighbor who always has a fresh batch of cookies and a sympathetic ear. They are incredibly warm. You love being around them, but you might not turn to them to lead you through a crisis. Charisma lives in the razor-thin margin where these two forces collide. It is the perfect, surgical balance of power and warmth. When we talk about power in the context of charisma, we aren't talking about being a bully or having a big job title. Power is about potence. It's the sense that you are capable of changing the world around you. It's reflected in your confidence, your poise, and the way you take up space. Someone with high power but low warmth comes across as arrogant, cold, or intimidating. They might monopolize the conversation or look over your shoulder for someone more important to talk to. They are impressive, yes, but they aren't magnetic. They push people away with their intensity. On the flip side, someone with high warmth but low power risks being seen as a people pleaser. They are nice, agreeable, and kind, but they lack that spark of leadership. People might like them, but they don't feel drawn to them. They are easily overlooked. The magic happens when you project both simultaneously. Think of the most magnetic people you've ever seen. Perhaps a world leader who can joke with a child or a superstar who makes a fan feel like an old friend. That is power and warmth in action. It's the message that says, I have the strength to protect or provide, and I have the heart to care about you. It's being willing to use your power for the benefit of others. To achieve this balance, you have to be intentional. You project power through your posture, your stillness, and the way you speak with conviction. You project warmth through your eye contact, your smile, and your genuine interest in others, as we discussed in the Deep Listen. A great way to master this is through observation. Look for people in the public eye who strike this balance. Watch how they move. They often have a relaxed but upright posture. That's the power. But they also have soft eyes and a genuine, slow-to-spread smile. That's the warmth. They don't rush their words, which shows they aren't anxious power, but they use inclusive language, which shows they care warmth. The transcript mentions that if you can't avoid an argument, you should disagree as gently as possible. This is a masterclass in the charisma equation. Saying, "you're wrong," is a raw power move that lacks warmth. It creates a wall. But saying, "I see your point, and I appreciate you sharing that, though I have a different perspective," maintains your power, your own opinion, while wrapping it in warmth respect for the other person. When you get this equation right, you become a benevolent authority. People don't just follow you because they have to. They follow you because they want to. They feel safe in your strength and valued in your kindness. This combination creates a magnetic pull that is almost impossible to resist because it satisfies two of the deepest human needs: the need for direction and the need for connection. We've talked about the external moves, the body language, the listening, the balancing of power. But if you stop there, you're just a very good actor, and eventually the mask slips. The final and perhaps most vital component of a magnetic aura isn't something you project. It's something you anchor. It is the internal foundation that makes your charisma feel effortless rather than exhausting. It's about rooting your presence in what truly matters to you. Have you ever noticed how someone's entire energy changes when they start talking about something they deeply care about? Their eyes light up, their voice gains a natural resonance, and they stop fidgeting. In that moment, they aren't trying to be charismatic. They are simply being authentic. This is because when we align our actions with our core values, our internal static disappears. We become congruent. In the transcript, there's a powerful mention of a practice by Amy Cuddy called Core Values Affirmation. It sounds simple, but it's a psychological game changer. Most self-help advice tells you to stand in front of a mirror and shout, "I am a leader, I am magnetic." But for most of us, there's a little voice in the back of our heads whispering, "No, you're not." That friction creates a disrupted frequency. Instead of trying to convince yourself you're something you don't feel yet, you ground yourself in what you know you value. Whether it's family, honesty, hard work, or creative freedom. These are your roots. When you take a moment to reflect on why these things are important to you, you create an internal well-being that radiates outward. Think of it like this. A tree with shallow roots might look beautiful, but the first storm will knock it over. A person whose charisma is based only on tricks will crumble under the first sign of social pressure or stress. But when you are rooted in your values, you carry a sense of ease that others find incredibly attractive. People are naturally drawn to those who seem comfortable in their own skin. That comfort comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. This internal work also changes how you handle stress. When you're in a high-stakes conversation and things get tense, an unrooted person might become defensive or arrogant, too much power, or submissive and anxious, too much warmth. But someone grounded in their values can stay present. If you value honesty, a difficult question isn't a threat. It's an opportunity to speak your truth. If you value well-being, you don't feel the need to win every argument at the cost of your peace. This relaxed state is exactly what creates that magnetic aura. The secret to a lasting presence is realizing that your aura is a reflection of your internal health. This is why things like sleep, meditation, and mental clarity, tools mentioned in the transcript like the Aura app, actually matter for charisma. You can't be fully present and warm if you're burnt out, sleep-deprived, and mentally cluttered. Taking care of your inner fire ensures that the light you're projecting isn't just a flickering candle, but a steady, reliable beacon. In the end, charisma isn't about becoming someone else. It's about stripping away the distractions, the anxieties, and the false masks until the most potent version of you is all that's left. When you combine the skills of body language and presence with a heart rooted in authentic values, you don't just walk into a room and draw attention. You walk into a room and change it.